Hello, fellow translators. So I am studying Korean now, and I wanted to let you guys know how it's going. This is partly to hold myself accountable so that I have something out here official that I'm doing it, and also kind of just to let you know how I'm going about it. I won't go into it too much in detail. I have a whole course on how to learn a new language as an adult, and I'm applying a lot of that to what I'm doing right now. And I kind of just wanted to share it with you. So my goal for translation, and this is one of the things I talk about, is that as adults we can set goals for not our translation, for our language learning. And my goal is usually traveling there. You know, if I know I'm going to go to Korea or Germany or wherever it might be, I try to dust off my old language books or whatever it is and try to get my skills up to the level they were the last time I studied, and that way I can hit the ground running as soon as I go there. These days no one's traveling, and so I can't do that, but I miss language learning. So I decided as a different goal I would try to take the test, and for Korean that's the TOPIK test, and I'm going to be shooting to take that. It should be offered here in the States in August, but that's depending on the situation of COVID and everything else, so we're going to see how that goes. But regardless, I decided it's as good a goal as any, and so that's what I'm going to do. So I want to share a bit of how I'm going about it. First of all, I'll show you some of my textbooks. I've had this ever since the first time I went to Korea, so this must be like 20 years old by now or something. I'm sure it's out of date. In fact, it has a lot of vocab, like I know how to say travel agent and fax machines and all that, which I'm sure they've changed since then. But I still have this. When I first studied this, I had this thing that I didn't want to write in the book, and so I wrote it all in my notebook, which is good because now I can use it again, and I can go over it each time. So I have this, Korean for Foreigners 1 elementary. I have 2 elementary. I have 1 intermediate, and then I have active Korean 2. I have another active Korean 3 over there, and so I have quite a few textbooks that I can keep using, which is good. Plus, I have certain, and these I've found all in local used bookstores. I found these books basically for kids. So this one's for little kids. It seems like a scary story. And then this one is for slightly older kids. This is already above my level at this point. And then I have this. This is Samgukji, the Three Kingdoms. And interestingly, when I was studying Chinese, I had this, just a second, this, Sangguotsu, which is Samgukji in Chinese. So it should be more or less the same story. So we'll see, hopefully between the two, I can figure out what's going on. This allows me to be able to read stuff in Korean and more at my level than a real book, which will be above my level. Other things that I'm doing though, I have, well, first of all, as you can see, I changed my phone. I don't know if it's focused there. I changed the language on my phone to Korean, which has caused quite a few issues, but it's okay. I can get by with it. I have the podcast I listen to, Talk to Me in Korean. For those of you who studied Korean, that's probably the main podcast out there. I have a couple of apps here, but Drops is the one that seems to be working okay. The other ones I don't really like. Problem with languages like Korean is they'll go until elementary, maybe upper elementary, and then they stop. Anything intermediate or above, it's very hard to find anything. And that's the issue I'm finding here, in fact, also with Drops, and definitely with Optilingo and other ones. So I don't know. Hopefully I can find solutions to that. Talk to Me in Korean is a great way to go about that. I have another thing here, Anki Droid. So I've used this, as you might be able to see, for Chinese and also for Korean. And this is great because these are flashcards that use spaced repetition. And so I find these very useful. Every day I'll just go through these flashcards, and that way the ones that I'm familiar with, I see them a bit less often. The ones I'm not so familiar with, I see them more often, so it can help out quite a bit in that sense. Oh, and then there's some other YouTube channels that I'm following. One's Talk to Me in Korean. Again, they have a YouTube channel. And another one is Korean Class 101, which is okay, I guess, sort of. Anyway. The main one I like is Talk to Me in Korean. But one that I didn't think I would like, but I do, is Learn Korean with Go Billy. He's not Korean, you know, he's some white American guy who started teaching Korean. But I like, he goes through a lot of the nitty gritty and the details in terms of grammar and stuff like that. And so I like that, and so I've been enjoying his classes lately. Another one is Korean Unni, Hanguk Unni. She talks about expressions, and she has a book, in fact, called I think 101 Korean Dad Jokes or something like that. So she'll go through various jokes and explain them and say how they work in Korean. So that's quite interesting as well. And that's pretty much it for now. I'm like the only Korean language learner in the world who doesn't care much about K-pop or Korean dramas, and so I haven't been watching those. But that's pretty much what I'm doing now, and as time goes by, I'll be adding more. Now my goal is to pass the TOPIK, so I'm going to be concentrating more on reading, and especially reading and listening and stuff like that, because TOPIK is multiple choice. I need to look at more into the exact structure of the TOPIK, also see which level I'm going to be taking. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be concentrating on. For now, I'm brushing off my old stuff and trying to get back at the level more or less where I was before, and we'll see how that goes. I'm doing other things to help out, and just some of the other random strategies that I like to use, talking to yourself in the target language, trying to use post-it notes around. You try to do immersion as much as possible, which is what I'll probably get into after a while. It'll be good to have a language exchange partner or something along those lines. Even though I'm only targeting TOPIK, which means it will be reading and stuff and not so much talking, it still won't hurt. And so, but that'll be a later step, and I'll get into that a bit more later on. For now, this is what I'm doing, and so we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping that this holds me accountable. Feel free to let me know if you are learning language. Feel free to share it here with everyone so you can hold yourself accountable as well. And if you're trying to brush up on a language, or if you're trying to learn a new one from scratch or anything along those lines, because also I just like languages in general. So I like studying them, I like talking about them, and learning about them. And otherwise, that's pretty much it. And I'll talk to you next time. Okay, thanks, bye. Savedum. And I realized I made that whole video without even saying anything in Korean, and I figured I should at least say something, so because it helps to hold myself accountable. So 안녕하세요. 여러분 안녕하세요. 한국말 공부하고 싶지만 한국말 다 잊어버렸어요. 네, I'll leave it at that for now. Okay, thanks. Bye. 사베둠.